and welcome back to the Conspiracy Couple podcast. I'm Marissa.
And I'm Ethan.
And today we have another very interesting topic to discuss with you guys. But before we get started, I did want to give a nice Merry Christmas. I know Christmas was a week ago, but still, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's. A Happy 2023. And you're not going to say anything?
No.
Okay. I hope that you had a great Christmas. I hope that you had, this will come out on New Year's, on January 1.
Yes.
January. You know, I do not like it when people say January 1.
You just said it.
I know, and that's why I'm mad. I don't like the way January 1 sounds. It's January 1st.
Who says January 1?
My mother. I have heard my mother, the pastor at church on Christmas, said January 1.
The only person I remember ever hearing saying that was you just now.
And I don't know why I said that, but it's, anyways, January 1st. This will come out on January 1st. So I hope you had a really great New Year's Eve. I hope that you have a wonderful 2023. Thank you for sticking with us for all of 2022. And if you've been here since before then, thank you for that as well. So, now that I have greeted everyone, Ethan, I'm going to turn it over to you for our social media.
I don't feel like it. You do it.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
How about this? We put it up on the screen.
Okay. It's on the screen.
We're on Instagram, TikTok, and the YouTube.
Find us.
Find us. It's like a scavenger hunt.
Just search Conspiracy Couple on everything.
It's a scavenger
If we're
hunt.
on it, we'll come up.
Yes. No updates, right?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. So we're gonna dive right in.
I think this is the first episode of season 3. What does seasons mean in podcasts? Nothing.
Not much. Yeah. But you know, it does sound nice, or it looks nice when you have it on the app and it's like
Does
season
it?
3. I don't know. I think it looks cool.
I don't think it makes any difference.
I think it looks cool. But I don't think
Welcome to season 3.
Welcome to season 3. And also season 2023. So you got another holiday greeting there. So
What?
You're welcome. A holiday greeting.
Holiday greet?
I said welcome to 2023.
Yeah.
Anyways, so without further ado, we're just going to dive in. And we are going to be discussing a place. So the place we're going to be discussing is called Skinwalker Ranch. Ethan,
That doesn't sound good.
have you ever heard of Skinwalker Ranch?
No,
No. You said that doesn't sound good.
it doesn't.
What do you mean? What? Tell me what you're thinking.
Skinwalker, I don't like that.
You don't like the word?
No, I don't like it.
So you do know... Have you heard the word Skinwalker before?
No,
No, okay. And you don't like the word, though?
no.
Okay, you know what? I had heard the word Skinwalker before, and so it didn't really freak me out, but I guess too...
What? It's not freaking me out, I just don't like it.
It just does a little bit... Ugh. Is that how you would feel?
No, it's just a gross word.
Okay. So, Skinwalker Ranch is also called Sherman Ranch. So, it has a couple names. Sherman Ranch is probably like the official name. Skinwalker Ranch is more so like the conspiracy / fame name, I guess, like the name that it's famously known by. But the ranch is supposedly known as a paranormal hotspot. And it is one of the biggest spots for UFO sightings and overall paranormal things in the country and in the world. So this ranch is it was like an actual working cattle ranch. And currently it is the subject of a multi-season series on the History Channel called The Hunt for Skinwalker Ranch. I don't know if it's The Hunt for Skinwalker Ranch, but I don't know. But it's got 3 seasons, and it's on the History Channel, and it's on Netflix. So the ranch specifically is known for cattle mutilations, crop circles, UFO sightings, Sasquatch sightings, reports of poltergeist activity, and strange equipment malfunctions.
It's like everything.
Yes. So think of like everything that could happen in a location related to the paranormal. It has happened there.
Cool.
I don't think that alien abductions have happened there. Alien sightings have happened there. So no one has been taken, but they've been seen. So Skinwalker, as I said, is not the name that was originally given to the ranch, but it's a name that has been adopted, and it comes from the legend of the Skinwalker, which is big in Native American mythology. And so the area has a long history of like legends and kind of lore from 2 different Native American tribes that have been in the area. So the Skinwalker is specific to the Navajo tribe. That's specifically part of their lore or their mythology.
Their lore? I'm thinking
Lore.
Lore?
Isn't lore
Is
kind
lore
of like
the
another
right
word of like...
I feel like lore, when I think of lore, I think of like books. Like...
So, okay, so when I think of lore, because I am currently reading the Poppyware series, Jang is the lore master. Lore is like
Right.
the history,
Is lore,
the mythology.
I guess when I think of lore, I usually think of like... I don't think of like mythology or stuff like that.
Are you Googling a definition? No, read it, please.
A body of traditions and knowledge on a subject or held... Or... A body... The definition of lore is... It's a noun. A body of traditions and knowledge on a subject, or held by a particular group, typically passed from person to person by word of mouth. So I guess it is like a history, mythology, belief, traditions and belief.
Yeah. And so the area has been regarded as dangerous or supernatural for a long time by the Ute tribe, who historically lived in the area. So Ute, this place is in Utah.
I know.
So
The University of Utah's mascot is the Ute.
really?
The Utah Utes, yeah.
Okay, I did not know that. I mean, I don't really care about university mascots, but nonetheless.
Well, they're in the Pac-12, so I know.
Okay, well. So the Skinwalker is an evil shapeshifter. The Skinwalker is a practitioner of black magic. And so there's like good magic and there's bad magic. There's like the healers and the shamans, and then there's the Skinwalkers. And so
There's the Death Eaters and the Aurors and the...
Okay. So anyways. So Skinwalkers get their magic through dark rituals. So specifically, the ritual that they engage in to receive their powers is killing a member of their family and eating their flesh.
Their own family?
Their own family.
Seems like a lot of work.
So that's how the lore goes, that they would get these powers is they kill a member of their own family, they eat their flesh, and then they receive this dark magic.
Thing.
So Skinwalkers have a couple of things they can do. They are able to enter people's minds and corrupt them, and they can convince them to do things they normally wouldn't do. They are also able to shapeshift. So they are, one of the things they're most known for is their ability to shapeshift into other forms. Most commonly, it is into wolves or bears, but they've also been said to shapeshift into owls and birds of prey.
Can they shapeshift into different people?
I have heard that they can. So I saw in some sources that they can like shapeshift into different people. They can sound like a different person.
Why would there be limits to what you can shape? If you can shapeshift into a bear, why can't you shapeshift into a person?
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's kind of traditionally like they can shapeshift into an animal. But I have heard also they can mimic other people's like sounds to lure people out. But when they're not shapeshifting, then they're described as looking like thin, emaciated humans. As if they've like given away their life force to this like dark power. So, as I said, this is a legend that came from the Navajo tribe, not from the Ute tribe. And the Ute tribe is the ones who were living in the area. So...
Of Skinwalker Ranch?
Yes, of Skinwalker Ranch. So, there has always been, or in the past, there were a lot of tribal politics and a lot of wars and conflicts between the two tribes. And so the Ute tribe says that as a result of these conflicts, the Navajo tribe cursed them with skinwalkers to torment them. And so, because of that, members of the Ute tribe believe that the area is cursed, and that's why they think there's so much like dark energy or dark spiritual energy, and that the skinwalkers don't live on the ranch, but they live in a place near the ranch.
They visit the ranch.
They go there for like, they hang out.
It's like their day job.
Yeah,
spot.
they go to they clock
They
in.
go, they put it in a 9 to 5 at
And then
Skinwalker Ranch, and then
They
head
go home, yes.
And the night shift comes in.
And yeah, they take different shifts. And so the place where they supposedly live is called Dark Canyon. And so that's the history of how the name Skinwalker Ranch came to be. So, as I said, Skinwalker Ranch is an actual ranch. Was a working ranch. And it is in northeastern Utah, and it is 512 acres. And it rests inside the Uintah Basin, and it borders the Ute Native American Reservation. And as I said, it is also called Sherman Ranch.
Sherman.
So the area, the basin, the Uintah Basin, has been a hotbed of UFO activities since the 1700s. And with Spanish explorers in the area saying and reporting seeing strange flying aircraft. And there also was a flurry of UFO activity in the 1950s in the area. And since then, it's been kind of consistent. So locals in the area say that you can spend months at the ranch and nothing will happen, but that suddenly there will be a shift in the atmosphere where you begin to get this feeling of terror and that there is just something wrong. And you get the feeling that you need to leave the area immediately. But that for the most time, it will be fine.
You can be anywhere for a certain amount of time and nothing will happen, and then something will happen.
That's true. But they describe this as like very dark and like permeating energy.
Bad vibes.
Bad vibes, yeah. So the man who owns the ranch now is a man named Brandon Fugel. And
Was he frugal?
Well, he is very, very wealthy, this man is.
Ah, frugal Fugel.
So he was quoted as saying, Skinwalker Ranch is the most scientifically studied paranormal hotspot on the planet, with the highest frequency of documented UFO sightings, bizarre cattle mutilations, electromagnetic anomalies, and unexplained phenomena.
When he says scientifically studied, like the most scientifically studied, by whomst?
There has been, we're going to get into it, but there have been extensive studies done on the area that have been from private companies that contain scientists. The government has also actually investigated the area.
So there have been real
There have been real people who have studied the area.
Because you can just be like, oh, this guy brought a ghost tracker and say, oh, it was scientifically studied.
The Pentagon sent someone to study it.
The Pentagon.
Mm-hmm. So Brandon Fugel actually purchased the property under the name of a shell company because he didn't want anyone to know he owned it. So he purchased it as a skeptic who wanted to investigate the paranormal claims that had been made, but after having his own close encounter with the UFO, he became a believer.
That actually doesn't sound like Brandon Fugel's all that frugal.
So
he just bought a ranch.
He bought it's like a fun thing. Like imagine being so rich that you just buy a ranch because you're like, I kind of want to look into this. I've heard some interesting things about it.
Sounds boring.
Like, imagine being that wealthy.
I think there's better things you could do with your money, Brandon.
Well, he has a TV
you could
show
give
now,
some
so
of it to me.
He has a TV show now, so I think Brandon's doing okay.
I'm not saying he's not doing okay. I said there's better things he could do with his money. Like, give it to me.
I mean, if I had that kind of money, I'd probably do that kind of thing.
Brandon could sponsor the podcast.
If I had that kind of money, and I could just buy a ranch because I wanted to investigate paranormal claims.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a big weenie, so I probably wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
But I would be thinking.
You can barely buy a shirt without being like.
Yeah, because I don't have that kind of money. I'm not a real estate developer.
Anyway.
Anyways, so let's get into some of the history of the ranch, and how we ended up here on the podcast. So the owners of the property from the 1930s to 1995 was a family called the Myers family. So they owned the ranch for about 65 years.
Wait, what's the name that's not Skinwalker?
Sherman.
Why is it called the Sherman Ranch?
We're going to get there.
Okay.
So the Myers family apparently never reported any paranormal or strange experiences while living on the ranch.
They lived there for a long time.
This is the report. They apparently did not report this. However, there was a book written about this, and they claim that there were experiences, but they didn't report them.
Who wrote the book?
So one of the people who was on one of the investigation teams.
And did he talk to them?
I don't remember. I watched a lot of videos. I think that they had passed away. That he talked to a family member of them. But the Myers, like the husband and the wife, they had passed away by the time the book was written. Because they did not, like the claims didn't really come to light until we get to Gwen and Terry Sherman. So they sell the property to the Sherman family, Gwen and Terry. And Gwen and Terry reported some very strange experiences. So they lived in the home and lived and worked on the property for only 2 years. And they lived there from 1994 to 1996.
How?
How did they live there for 2 years?
How did they live there in 1994? You said that the Myers family...
I think that you're getting lost in like the very small details. So Gwen and Terry...
That means she doesn't know.
Thank you, Ethan. So Gwen and Terry lived there with their 2 teenagers. I believe their children were 10 and 14 when they...
10 is not a teenager.
Okay, well, I believe they were 10. And...
They were 10.
And they were in the cattle ranching business. So they said that when they first moved into the home, some of the things that they found made them question whether the Myers had actually been honest in saying that they hadn't experienced anything strange. So they found this clause in the agreement to purchase the home, saying that if they wanted to dig on the property, they had to contact the Myers family for permission to dig on the property. So this was very strange to me. They were like, if they wanted to dig on the property, they had to ask the Myers. I'm like, but that's
sold
weird.
The property.
That's weird. But you know what it reminds me of? What was in the walls with the Watcher house? I was like, this is so weird. And I'm like, I'm like, why are we not digging? Why are we not digging?
Dead bodies?
So, anyways, no dead bodies as far as I'm aware.
Well, did they dig?
Yes.
Oh.
So I was reading a news article. Now, this was a news article, and this man had gone onto the property. Now, he was not a member of the Sherman family. He had gone onto the property, and he had dug on the property. He said that very shortly after this, he developed this strange bump on his head. And that over the course of a few days, the article said that his skull separated from his scalp. So, I don't know what that means. And I don't really want to know what that means. But that sounds very bad. It sounds like we shouldn't be separating those two things. So that was what I found about the digging.
That was it?
Yes.
One guy dug one time?
So I was like, I watched a bunch of videos. I read a ton of news articles. And I was like, so why can't we dig? What's going on in there?
I think they had some bodies.
You think the Myers had some dead bodies there?
Why else would you say you can't dig? To tell people
because they're afraid, because they don't want this. Maybe because this guy, there was something inherently in the ground that when this man dug up, his skull separated from his scalp.
Maybe they buried all the skinwalkers.
Okay. So that was what I found. So when they get to the home, they find that the house had been fortified, like bolted shut, like chains all over the doors and all over the windows, as if you're like watching a movie and they are like trying to keep someone from coming into the house. Mm-hmm. Like it was over the top, chains, bolts, deadbolts, all of it.
Interesting.
But no, nothing strange happened. Maybe they were just very concerned about their safety. I will say
they saw a wild animal.
I will say, sometimes when I am home alone, having that many locks sounds very appealing to me. I'm just gonna say that. I'm a big weenie though, that's what we all know. So they come and they're like, yeah, that's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. So
maybe there was a cougar.
Well, there was something. We're gonna get into it. So shortly after this, they reported a very strange experience with their cattle. So Terry's father, and Terry's son were standing outside with their cattle when they reported seeing a wolf appear in the distance. So that's not surprising. They live out in like the wilderness. They see a wolf. No big. They were surprised to see that the wolf appeared to be tame. The wolf apparently walks over to the family, walks over to the men, and even let them pet it. Now, I would be tempted to pet a wolf because I love all animals that are fluffy, and wolves are fluffy. Now, would I actually pet it? Probably not.
Because it would bite you.
Because I don't want.
Nova!
What is she doing?
She's trying to eat your thing.
Are you trying to eat my purse?
Trying to eat
girl.
your bag.
Where is she? She's not?
Yes,
Oh,
she
you
is
can't do
right
that.
there.
Okay. So, this wolf was not an average wolf. This wolf was apparently huge. So,
Like Jacob.
it was Jacob. No. So, Terry and his dad were about 6 feet tall. And they reported that the wolf went up, when it was just standing, it went up to the chest of these two men who were about 6 feet tall. Are you trying to get her out? Nova, I know you like purses and fashion, but you gotta stop. Okay. So, then they see this animal, this wolf-like animal.
There's Big Wolf.
This huge wolf, Jacob Black, okay?
Big boy.
They see Jacob Black. And this animal grabs one of their calves. No, the
With his
calf.
mouth?
Yes, the calf is in the pen.
Oh.
Grabs one of the calves and tries to pull it away, drag it away through the grates.
Uh-huh.
So the men start trying to beat the wolf to get it to leave. Now, I don't know a lot about cattle ranching, and I don't know a lot about wolves, but my inclination is that if there is a large wolf, and it's got its teeth in my calf's throat, I'm not going to start hitting it to try and get it away. It's kind of like when you see a dog fight. You're not supposed to get involved in the dog fight. And so I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if that was very smart. Because, when two dogs are fighting, you're supposed to just let them fight it out.
Right, because
you could die. Yeah. So they start beating the wolf. That doesn't work. The wolf, does not care. They shoot the wolf. The wolf does not care. The wolf appears uninjured. They continue to shoot the wolf. They have shot the wolf multiple times at this point. Eventually, it just walks away. It's been shot multiple times, just walks away. There was no blood. There was no blood trail. There was nothing. They follow the footsteps. Eventually, the footsteps just stop. And so there's no blood, no footsteps, no nothing. They also described this animal as having this foul smell that was kind of like death or decay that lingered in the area after it had left. So over the years, the Sherman family continued to see a variety of strange animals, as well as their neighbors, including those huge wolf-like animals, strange birds, and creatures that resembled a Sasquatch. So they also noticed that things around their ranch started to go missing. So it wasn't just I lost my keys. Or oh, hey, where's that wrench that I just put down? I can't find it. So they would find heavy ranch equipment missing. And this would disappear within minutes. Terry would go walk somewhere else. He'd come back and this huge piece of ranch equipment is gone. They also had 5 cows go missing in one winter, later finding them dead and mutilated in ways that appeared almost surgical. They were always strangely bloodless, and that ruled out that they had just been attacked by a predator. They also said that there was a strange chemical smell near the cows' bodies, and that there were a few times they could see hoof prints that just randomly stopped and disappeared.
Sounds pretty obvious, it's aliens.
That's what I'm thinking. They also had some of their dogs killed in mysterious ways as well. So oftentimes, These instances would be preceded by strange yellow lights the night before that happened, and then the next morning he would find a mutilated cow body. So another very common occurrence for them was seeing strange lights and aircraft that would move around erratically. One experience that Gwen had was when she was driving home and saw a craft that was following behind her. When she got home, she saw this craft sitting on her property. So she looked through the window and she saw a 7-foot tall figure in dark clothes standing inside the craft and watching her. So she got scared and she shut the blinds. And when her and her husband investigated the next day, all they saw were abnormally large footprints. So here's my thing. I get home. I open the curtains. There's a spacecraft and an alien looking at me in the spacecraft. You know what I'm doing?
Not closing the blinds.
I'm GTFOing. I am getting a hotel room and I am saying, listen, Terry, I'm out.
So I would just watch.
No, are you kidding me? I look outside and I see a spacecraft. First of all, I'm probably going to pass out.
Yeah, you probably would.
I would pass out. I mean, the thought of seeing a celebrity that I like makes me want to pass out. If I saw an alien...
I don't think those two things are comparable.
First of all, I'd probably just die. I don't think I'd just pass out. I think I'd just die.
I don't think those two things are comparable. Unless you're very so excited to see an alien.
I think that my reaction to seeing things that I don't expect to see would just be passing out. Anyways, I think I might just pass out or die. I don't know. One of the two things. But I wouldn't just look at the window and then be like, we'll look at it tomorrow morning. I'd be like, I am calling the police. I would pass out and then I'd wake up and then I'd call the police and say, there's an alien on my property. So another thing they often saw was this large orange orb. That was very hard to say. Large orange orb.
Large orange orb?
Anyways. Miss
I
Girl.
riled her up.
You did. And they would hear these strange noises that sounded as if they were coming from underground, as well as hearing voices speaking in a strange language from above them. Aliens. So the voices thing happened when Terry was outside after dark with his dogs, and he heard 2 male voices speaking in a strange language from what sounded to be about 25 feet above him. So even his dogs reacted to the sounds. They heard these voices. He couldn't see anything, but his dogs even reacted like they heard something.
Because they did.
Because they did. And you know what? Something about animals is that they're very spiritually attuned. They are very aware of atmospheric shifts and spiritual shifts. And so if his dogs were reacting, that really lends credence to me that he heard something.
Or they could have just also heard something. Dogs do have ears.
Yes. You know, I would say animals are very attuned. Nova is not.
Yeah, but animals have ears and can hear things. So they could have just also heard something.
I think our cat pretends she can't hear us. We're talking about you. Anyways. So they also saw, of course, crop circles on their property. And while they were living there, they saw at least 3 different strange aircraft, and they managed to videotape 2 of them. So apparently, even with all the strange experiences, they themselves never experienced any physical harm. It was weird and it was creepy, but they were never hurt. So it is around this time that Terry decides they're going to GTFO. And he decided to speak with the local newspaper in hopes that it would lead to the strange behavior stopping. So here's my question. Do we think that aliens are going to read the local paper?
Well, he clearly didn't think it was aliens.
And be like, meet. I guess you're right. We're going to stop.
Why would he didn't think it was aliens, obviously.
So, yeah.
So
I guess that's true.
Your point is invalid.
My point, I mean, what does he think it is? I don't know.
I don't know. Clearly he thinks someone's messing with him.
That is very committed. They are very committed to messing with him.
He seems to think
And if someone's killing his animals, they're not messing with him. They're sociopaths. Okay? We don't bring animals into this. So, apparently Terry said he didn't want any attention drawn to the ranch. which kind of seems weird if you're going to the newspaper and you're like, there are spacecraft on my ranch, but I don't want to draw any attention to it. It kind of seems strange.
Yeah.
She is on one right now. She is on one. So, of course, once Terry goes to the newspaper and is like, I've been seeing spacecraft and strange animals and maybe Sasquatch, it begins to draw the attention of paranormal seekers. And they would come to the ranch to investigate. Terry ends up sending most of them away. So a lot of them come. Terry's like, get out. Like, you can't just come and investigate my house. But eventually they became so desperate to get out of there that they sold the ranch to Robert Bigelow. Now, Robert Bigelow was a billionaire real estate developer. And he had like this side interest in the supernatural. So they ended up selling it to him for less than they had paid for it at $200,000.
How much?
So they sold it at, it was $200,000 that he spent to buy it.
Well, how much did they pay for it?
I don't know. But it was at a loss. So my thing is, okay, Mr. Bigelow is a billionaire with a pet project to look into the supernatural. You don't think they'd be like, listen, man, I know you got the cash. Let's draw it back up to asking price.
I think that they probably just wanted to get the heck out. So they didn't care.
That's probably true. But I mean,
No, that's not
kind of sucks that he's taking advantage of them like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, they're terrified.
He's a billionaire. That's kind of what they do. But we were talking about this with the Watcher. It was like, it doesn't matter. Just get some money and get out of there. Mm-hmm. Like, at that point, if you're being terrorized like that, it doesn't matter if you get it at a loss or not. Just get out.
Right. Yeah, I mean, his animals are getting killed.
Right.
His animals are getting killed. His wife's probably terrified. His kids are probably terrified. Like,
he's probably also terrified.
He is probably also terrified. So Robert decided to purchase that ranch because he read the newspaper piece. And he was really intrigued by what had been spoken about in the ranch. And he bought the ranch 3 months after this newspaper piece comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So he creates this little team to have full-time surveillance on the ranch in an attempt to capture proof of what the Shermans claimed had happened. So he called this group the National Institute of Discovery Science, or NIDS, and it was full of scientists with high-tech equipment and technology to investigate. Some members of the team included former Army intelligence officers, the psychic investigator for the CIA, and also this person worked for Scientology.
The CIA has a psychic investigator?
This guy worked for the CIA and Scientology.
But the CIA has a psychic investigator?
Apparently. The CIA is just some sketchy business. Okay. So they also had a world-renowned UFO investigator.
How do you get world-renowned?
I don't know.
When you haven't found anything.
I don't know what the criteria is for that, but this guy's quite famous.
I'm world-renowned.
So now
I've been to multiple countries.
People say that their investigation did not yield anything concrete, but I don't necessarily agree with that. I think what the thing is that they didn't get anything on camera, like they did not capture an alien on camera, but everyone on the team said that they had paranormal experiences while working there. But
personal experience isn't evidence.
I mean, I think that people's stories are sometimes just as powerful as getting things on camera.
No.
One of the instances that one of the researchers had on the team was from a man named Colm Kelleher. So he claimed that he saw this large humanoid creature spying on them from a tree. And it's sitting on this tree 20 feet up in the air. And the tree and the creature are about 50 yards away. So he says that this creature has yellow, unblinking eyes. And though it was like kind of humanoid looking, but it also looked like a predatory bird. So like human features, but bird features. Okay. So he does what you would expect. He shoots at the creature. and said that it disappeared. But when he walked over to investigate, he saw these strange footprints in the snow that looked like they had 2 large claws and that may have come from a very large bird of prey. So I'm thinking, he sees a strange creature. He's on a team to investigate claims of strange creatures. He sees said strange creature. And so instead of saying, I'm going to get my camera out, he shoots at the creature. I mean, I guess, though, if he had, like, the creature's dead body, that would be proof. But at the same time, and I think it was dark when that happened, but at the same time, it's just like, isn't that what you were there looking for? You see it.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to kill it?
Not the best judgment
And
there.
the thing was just looking at him. Although I will admit, I would have been, like, uncomfortable, too.
But if you're looking for that, why wouldn't you just take a picture?
Why wouldn't you guys look?
Right.
Guys, look, get your camera on this. I don't know. So, other members on the team commented that they felt that there was some kind of, like, cognitive and sentient being on the ranch, and that this being could predict what they were going to do and then destroy the equipment accordingly. So they would be like, oh, these investigators are going to, like, do X, Y, and Z with X, Y, and Z camera. Then the camera will be broken. So it was, like, always convenient that whatever they were going to investigate, that equipment would be broken. So this investigation, like I said, nothing concrete. So Bigelow resells the ranch. NIDS disbands. And this is when they started calling it Skinwalker Ranch. However, one of the NIDS team members co-wrote a book about their paranormal experiences, and this book was called The Hunt for the Skinwalker. So the book was called The Hunt for the Skinwalker, not the show. I think the show is like The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch. So skeptics say that there is no evidence to back up the claims written about in the book. So I believe that the author, went on Joe Rogan and was talking about the book, and then Joe Rogan was like, what's the evidence? And the guy was like, well, we don't really have any evidence. So there's that. So Bigelow sells the ranch to another real estate developer named Brandon Buell. Our boy Brandon. So,
well, we don't know him.
We don't know him.
Call him our boy.
You know, he is on the show. So he is the one who brings in the History Channel. He's the one who gets them to investigate the ranch. And there is now a reality TV show about the ranch on its 3rd season. So now we're going to talk about something called the Hitchhiker Effect, which basically means that, unlike Vegas, the strange things that happen at the ranch don't stay at the ranch, and they follow you home. So many people who spent a prolonged period of time on the ranch state that they have had strange experiences happen at their home, such as equipment malfunctioning, their brand new car shutting down, and other things like that. Other people report experiencing mysterious illnesses, as well as members of their family who have never been to the ranch experiencing mysterious illnesses, and other forms of personal torment that they believe could have been a poltergeist of some kind. So they would claim that these incidents would happen at the same time that something strange happened on the ranch. So on the ranch, something weird would happen. At this person's house, something weird would happen. And so there's a large group of people now who refuse to go back to the ranch ever again because they're so scared of what might happen to them because of this hitchhiker effect. So now we're going to talk about some of the theories. Why are there so many, why is there such a high rate of strange incidents at Skinwalker Ranch? What's going on? So one theory is that it is a curse by the Navajo tribe on the Ute tribe. So this was, part of the lore that the area had been cursed by the Navajo tribe. That's where the Ute tribe lived, and that's where the curse was placed. So the question is, are there actually skinwalkers that are terrorizing the property and those who live there? the skinwalkers, would that account for like the strange animals, the bird of prey looking thing, the big wolf? The question is, would this account for everything else? So is the curse and the skinwalkers that were cursed to be there, is that going to cause alien aircraft? Is that going to cause crop circles? Is that going to cause cattle mutilation? Does that take into account everything, or would it just take into account one piece of it? Right? Another theory is that the area is home to an interdimensional portal that allows these supernatural creatures and spacecraft to travel into and out of the area from another universe or dimension. So that it's not like intergalactic, but it's interdimensional. Another theory is that this site is the home of some sort of secret government project or secret government experiment, or the place where the government made contact with extraterrestrials and then decided to try and cover it up. That everything happening there is the result of the government like experimenting on the population there. Another theory is shared delusion by all of the people who report strange things happening in the area, which is also the Foliage Phenomenon. So this theory is one that seems a lot less likely to me, because if you remember, we talked about the Foliage Phenomenon on the Trump family episode. And so in that phenomenon, basically what happens is it's people who live closely together and who spend a lot of time together who develop this shared delusion. So the whole idea is that it's people who are close together and then they are so close that they all share this together. So there's no possible way that the reports from the Spanish explorers in the 1700s and also the reports from the members of the Ute tribe and also the members of the Sherman family, there's no possibility that all of those people lived closely enough that they would share a delusion, right? Like they didn't even live in the same century. So it's like, oh, it's Foliage. With who? The Sherman family? Possibly. But you can't say that that explains everything. Because they didn't live together. Like,
right.
The Spanish explorers didn't live with the Sherman family. The members of the Ute tribe didn't live with the Sherman family. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't, it explains only like maybe a group of people, but it doesn't explain everything. So, another theory. All of the stuff that is happening is legit.
It's just all happening?
It's just all happening. It's just a hot spot for you for paranormal activity. So apparently one of the people who investigated on the ranch, I believe they were part of the NIDS team, said that there had been a 5-year investigation into the ranch by the Pentagon, and that they had said what was happening there was legit, but that, of course, all of the documents were classified.
So we don't actually know if the Pentagon investigated. We just have one guy who said they did.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but they've classified all the documents, and there's no real way to prove it.
There's no real way to prove that they actually ever did it.
I guess that's fair.
Because it's just this one guy saying they did.
I guess that's fair. Investigators over the years have claimed that they were extremely skeptical when they first began to investigate, but that when they experienced real paranormal things, they changed into believers. This investigator says he has no explanation for what happened to their equipment, what happened with the UFOs that he saw in the middle of the day with a group of other people, and unexplained medical issues that people on the team experienced. So that theory is that everything that's happening is just actually happening and it's all supernatural. And the last theory. Is this whole thing a hoax to bring attention to the ranch and make money off of it? So that's the belief of many of the skeptics of the theory, that the claims of the paranormal are all part of this scheme to make money. So some people believe that the Sherman family was either lying about the experiences they had on the ranch, or that they were suffering from some kind of collective delusion as a family. But the thing, with the Sherman family, they sold the property for a loss. They didn't get paid, or it's like they're not making enough money by selling the story to, compensate for the fact they sold the property at a loss. Also, if they're having their cattle disappear and then mutilated, that's their business. Their business is cattle ranchers. So if they're losing cattle and they're losing money on the sale of the property, where's the money they're making from this? I don't understand. However, there's, of course, now a reality show about it. Now, the owner, Mr. Brandon Fugel, claims that he has not made any money off of the ranch, even with the show. But I feel like that can't be true. Like, I feel like you can't shoot a show on your property for 3 years and not make any money off of it. Like, that doesn't seem reasonable to me. Like, for him to say, like, yes, he's very wealthy. Like, he's already an independently wealthy person. So he didn't need the money. So maybe I could see him being like, I didn't make money because the amount of money he made is, like, negligible compared to what he already had. But I feel like you can't say I've made no money off of this.
When you have a TV show.
When you have a 3rd season TV show that is on Netflix right now.
Right.
Like, you can't just be like, yeah, no, I made no money. No, you made money. I know you have. You made something. Just because you're already rich doesn't mean you didn't make money.
Maybe not as much money as you put into it, but you still made money.
Right. Exactly.
Not making a profit is different from not making money. Right.
Like, I think maybe he's saying I didn't make a profit.
Maybe. And that might be true.
But you have to admit that they can't just shoot something.
You sold the rights to your show.
Like, they can't just shoot a show at your property and
he sold the show.
Not make any money.
He sold the show.
Right. He's the one that brought History Channel in, so he's not going to bring History Channel in and be like,
right.
Hey, I want you to come shoot this, and no, you don't have to pay me.
Right.
Like, that's just silly. We also have to take into account that there has been supernatural reports from the ranch next to the Sherman Ranch, as well as centuries of reports in the area.
Why are these other areas not as popular?
Yeah, why doesn't the other ranch? Why do they not have a TV show?
Yeah. Because they didn't get a cool name.
I don't know.
Rebrand your name, other ranches.
Yeah, change your name and you can have a History Channel show too. Or maybe you could be on the next season of The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch. You could be on it. Maybe you can get paid for being on a 2nd season. Or a 4th season, I guess. Mm. So, Ethan, as we conclude, what do you think about all of this?
I know last time you got mad at me because I said I had no thoughts. And I do have thoughts this time.
Okay.
But I really don't know what I think it is. Because it's definitely weird. And it definitely seems like there's a lot of stories from a lot of different people that are all kind of corroborating the same type of thing. Mm-hmm. But also, I'm like, I don't really know if I believe in any of that stuff. So it's hard for me to truly, like, say I think it's this. I think it's a hoax. I think that there could be parts of it that are hoaxy. I don't necessarily think the Shermans were in on it. If they were, then it would have had to been like they would have had to been in like cahoots with the first rich guy,
Robert Bigelow.
Yeah.
They would have been in it for the long game
right.
if they were trying to make money.
It's very strange, and I think some of it could be true, maybe, like the animals, maybe they are weird. I mean, weird hybrid animals show up from time to time. That happens. So it's possible that's occurred. It occurring potentially more than once is definitely strange. Mm-hmm. It could be that somebody was messing with them. Partially could be somewhat of a hoax. I tend to believe it was more of a hoax more recently.
Later, yeah.
Than it was back then. But, yeah, I really don't know. I think hysteria and paranoia could play a factor into it because of some of the weird things that they encountered. But, yeah, I'm not sure.
Mm. Like, it sounds like you're like, yes, there's definitely something strange, but I don't know if I believe in, like, you believe something strange has happened, but you are like, I can't take the next step into saying I believe it's an alien.
It also is tough because there's no real evidence. It's just a whole
anecdotal.
It's a lot of anecdotal evidence, which I agree. Yes, anecdotal evidence shouldn't be discounted just because it's anecdotal, but it's not nearly as powerful as like, physical evidence, pictures, videos, like actually like showing us the stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So it's tough for me. Yeah, I really don't know.
Okay. I think I feel a mix of things. So I don't know if I think that it's a hoax. I do think that Brandon Fugal is capitalizing off of it.
Absolutely.
Which, you know, get your bag. I don't care. I certainly do think he's capitalizing off of it. I think his claim that he has not made money off of it is maybe when he says, I haven't made money off of the ranch. Yeah, maybe you haven't made money off the location.
Yeah.
But you've made money off of the show. Yeah. And so I certainly think he's capitalizing on it. Do I think that there could be places that are just like more paranormal, like more saturated with that kind of thing? I do think that. I think that, you know, there are locations that can hold, you know, dark energy, that can hold like, you know, that can be more accessible. And I think like a 512-acre ranch in Utah definitely could be like a good place for like this kind of stuff to happen. I think that it's hard to say like no, like none of this is true. I don't think it's a shared delusion. I don't think that would make sense with how many generations and centuries there have been. I think it honestly, it would make sense that there is some kind of a government involvement, some kind of government cover up. I mean, we know that the government experiments on people. We know that they have. We know that they could gaslight them into them being like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. And I do think, like, I don't know if I believe in, like, no, I believe in curses. Like, I do think that, like, perhaps the Navajo tribe did curse the area, and there is now, like, more negative, dark energy. I don't know. I do tend to be less skeptical than Ethan, because I do believe in aliens, and I do believe in Bigfoot, and so I think that it makes sense that that could be a place. It's, like, a very remote location, right? Like, so it's a good place to take for that to happen. But, I don't know. I think now it's definitely been capitalized on. And so I think that that kind of muddies the waters. Like, now that there's a TV show and the guy's making money off the show, I think that it kind of muddies the waters for, like, legitimate, like, things that rise up. But, as always, you want to know what you guys think. Let us know in the comments what you guys think is happening at this ranch. If you think that, you know, it's another theory that I talked about. If you think that everything that's happening is legit. Or if you've watched the show, let me know. I only watched part of the first episode because that's 3 seasons and your girl's got a job. I also do have another request for the comments or the reviews. I want to know, since this is the end of 2022.
Well, beginning of 2023.
Beginning of 2023. What is the best book you read this year? Why is it the best book that you read? What is the best TV show and the best movie that you saw this year? Ethan, what's the best book you read this year?
The Burning God.
Okay.
Great conclusion to the Poppy War series.
I'm stressed. I'm reading it now. I'm stressed.
The best TV show?
Mm-hmm.
Like a new TV show or just like
just a show that you watched for the first time?
For the first time?
Or no, just a show that you watched.
Community.
Okay.
It's like one of the best shows ever. I watch it every year.
Yeah, you do watch it every year.
So it's always one of the best shows I watch.
Best movie?
I kind of want to rewatch Psych, which is my favorite show. Best movie. Then I rewatched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is my favorite movie. I'm trying to think of like maybe like a new movie that I saw. No Way Home was good.
You cried.
Spider-Man, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love Spider-Man, so I'm always like biased to that. I want to watch one of the things. I don't really make resolutions, but one of the things that I want to do in 2023 is watch more new movies.
Okay.
I want to go to the movie theater more because I like going to the movie theater. I like watching movies. And I get off early on Fridays, so I could always just
Go by yourself.
be like a Friday afternoon movie thing.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna ask me answers?
I just assumed you were going to answer it.
Okay, so best book of 2022. So I reread The Six of Crows duology. That's the best book ever. But a new book that I read, and this is gonna sound basic, I know. I got into Colleen Hoover. It Ends With Us. That book made me cry. And I'm really stressed with the next one. I don't know why. Best TV show. House of the Dragon. I thought that show was
It was good.
spectacular. I thought it was so good. I thought it was so interesting. Best movie.
That show made me realize that I could not handle Game of Thrones. Because it was confusing enough on its own, and
There's like one
there was
family.
like 8 episodes in one family, and Game of Thrones is so much longer and so much vaster.
I think I could understand Game of Thrones.
You probably could, but I think
I just like there was like a couple characters I'd be like, I don't know their name. I'm not gonna learn their name. I don't care.
Yeah, and then they turned out to actually be important later, and you're like, oh crap, I don't know who this is.
I learned all the important people's names.
Yeah. They also all had very similar sounding names.
I learned, I think, all of the children's names.
Anyway.
Anyways, best movie I saw this year, no question. It is the Elvis movie. No question. We want to know what you guys' were. Do you have a New Year's resolution? And if so, let us know what it is.
Do you have a New Year's resolution?
I never have a New Year's resolution.
If you were to have one, what would it be?
I want to continue, like, have a more consistent workout routine. Like, I want to be a fitness girl in the new year.
Be on the
And I
lookout
also-
for our new YouTube channel, Conspiracy Couple Fitness.
And I also really want to buy a house.
That's different. That's not a resolution. That's a...
I think that's a resolution.
That's more like a financial goal, though.
My financial goal is I want to buy a house.
Anyway.
And I want a new house.
If you want us to buy a house, rate at 5 stars and contact all of your... every company you know that sponsors podcasts and tell them to sponsor us.
And just say, the conspiracy couple needs a house.
Anyway, happy 2022. Here's to a 2023.
Huzzah.
Whether it's good or bad.
It's gonna,
It's gonna
don't
be.
come in with that energy.
It will be. Bye.
Bye.